I'm a shiny entrepreneur. This is so exciting. I really have to watch myself. Everybody in my life is a bloody ENFJ. It's crazy. Louis, I'm probably happy with it, but it's just more.
That's good. Right. I knew I was going to get to the truth. That's what I'm after. That's what it's about.
Hey, Joe, what if marketing doesn't actually work? And everyone else who's telling you that it works are all comfortable lying about the fact that it works. Hey guys, next week is the last race of the NASCAR season. Why don't we fly to Miami and go see the race? Mark Drager comes out on top.
Hello, Inspiration Nation. Welcome to another week on the podcast. Excited to see that we've got a guest for you today. Just to let you know that Lee and Ryan are not here this week because I have a special guest that I want to announce to you. But you can find us at the usual places on Twitter at Listen2IN. You can catch us on Instagram at Listen2IN. You can catch me at JN Coaching Tech on Twitter, Instagram, and all over the place. You just type my name into Google. I've got a wonderful guest. He's agreed to come up on the podcast, and we've connected over Twitter. And I'd love to introduce you, Mark Drager. I just want to tell you a little bit about Mark Drager before we get into the real mind of Mark Drager. Let's do this. So I'm excited to have him on. Said he's the owner and founder of Phanta Media. He's a marketing and sales expert. He's also a speaker, blogger, and thought leader. He founded Phanta Media in 2006. Phanta currently has a revenue around $2 million. Which I found on Zoom Info. The Phanta's core values are understanding why, are to have a meaningful impact and doing the right thing. Mark's one word or core value is extraordinary. He's also found at markdrager.com. That's where he does his speaking, his podcasting. His focus to help people build an extraordinary life through his content. And he's always wanting to think big, be bold, and say, yes, this is what we need to do. He's also got a YouTube. He's got two YouTube channels. In fact, he's got one Phanta Media one and one Mark Drager one, which is great. He's got a Phanta channel. Been going for 10 years. Mark Drager's been going about 1 year. His first Phanta video was a talk with Brett Wilson, which I'm going to dig into a little bit in the talk. I wonder what this was about. And
is that the oldest video on my channel?
Yeah, a mastermind talk, and I'd like to dig into a bit. But I did have a little look at the channel, and I must admit there was a Phanta holiday video that I really enjoyed. I thought that was really nice. He's the owner of two podcasts, would you believe? It's the Not So Corporate podcast, which he does, and also he has the Something to Prove podcast, which he runs with his best friend Evan Carmichael, which he started in 2019. And I understand this new podcast on the way is something I'd like to ask you about that as well at some point. Mark had a difficult childhood. He wanted to melt in the background. He had an alcoholic stepfather. He moved out at 16. It took him a long time to get comfortable with his childhood. He lived through anxiety. He lived through fear of not being good enough. Despite all this, he built his business. He's married to Jackie Strong on Instagram, which you can find. He's got 4 children, 6 to 13, and he's been married for 14 years. Mark suffered with depression about 2 years ago, but he puts a big picture on his wall in his office, which he looks at, and he went to an anti-Robbins event called Unleash the Power of Him, which seemed to shift things for him. And we connected over Instagram, as I said. We've connected for a bit of time, and today it's getting more into the mind of Mark Drager. So how are you? How was that?
Well, thank you. That was a very extensive intro, my friend. I don't even remember. You're reminding me of things that happened to myself. So I appreciate that.
Well, I want to see the growth. I mean, the growth, man, it's been extraordinary. I mean, I know we connected over a couple of years. So I just want to know more about it. So how was all these things that I've said? I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. So just how did it all start? I mean, just tell me about. I know you had that difficult childhood, but how did you had that difficult childhood, and that was difficult. So how did you come to all that and start this whole, I suppose, entrepreneurial journey? Tell us a bit more about that. What kicked it off?
Yeah, I mean, so I believe more than anything that if you are fortunate to have people model certain behaviors in your life, that things seem normal, right? And so I grew up in a household that had mental health issues, that had substance abuse issues, that had a lot of anger, just seemed normal. But equally, my grandfather emigrated from Germany to Canada in 1950 with nothing more than a grade 6 education. He was a refugee through the Second World War. Him and his cousins started a construction company that is still going today and built it up to a multi-hundreds of $1 million company. And so I grew up within an immigrant family, but I was, born in Canada. I grew up with people who were very comfortable with money, and even though it didn't seem like I ever had enough. And I think when you're growing up, the experiences that you have, both good and bad, shape you into the person you are. And so I think, to answer your question, I mean, growing up, I learned a tremendous amount about hard work from my grandfather. I learned from my mom that you can do anything if you just open up a book or do a little bit of research and try. And I remember the exact moment when I was in grade 7 that I learned that. And then I also learned about trying to prove that you're smart enough so that way you could feel worthy, and never being sure if you're doing a good job or doing the right thing. And so I don't know. I don't know how you replicate what I've done, other than just to say I was very, very fortunate to be like a white dude in a free country who saw other people start with less and do a ton more. And I have this desire and need to always be extraordinary and do something bigger, which pushes me. And at the same time, I have this feeling like nothing I do is ever good enough or right, which holds me back. So here I am.
I mean, the whole thing. I mean, you say, you don't think you're good enough, so you still don't think you're good enough, and you've built a multi-million-pound company, a marketing
Yeah, but
company.
it doesn't mean anything.
So tell me
It
more
doesn't.
about that. So what's the reason it doesn't mean anything? Because you've built, you're still impacting lots of lives. I've had a look at the website. You've worked with some really, big brands in there. So what's the thing? Is
Um,
there a gratitude thing going on here? Can you recognize it, or is it just literally just want to be bigger, just want to keep building? What is it?
just I can look back nostalgically at the teams that we had, at the things that we've done, and look back at them and go like, I can take a lot of pride in what we've done. But I know at the time I didn't enjoy them or see them for what they were. And I don't have that today. Like I have built and run since 2006 a service-based business. So there's different time periods, there's different sizes we've been, there's different teams, there's different offerings, there's different things. And so if you were to ask me about the journey of Phanta Media, it has been 5 or 6 different companies, because I started it when I was 23, when my wife and I had no money. We had a 2-month-old daughter, and I quit my job, and my wife had no income, and we started the company. That wasn't a very fun Phanta Media. And,
Wow,
I
yeah.
can go back to like 2014, 15, 16, when we had so much potential for what we were doing, but we just didn't feel like we were hitting the level we want. And at the time it wasn't fun, but I could look back nostalgically. The last few years have been really, really hard for us. And the last few weeks have been really, really hard for us, because the more that I've come to learn about myself and the more that I've come to know, I used to be very confident, with almost blinders on to my inadequacies. I've spent the last few years becoming very aware of my inadequacies, and now realizing how much they hurt the company, they hurt the team, they hold me back. And so I still sit with this level of dissatisfaction that I've always felt. I feel like we have the opportunity to fix it. But I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, other than to say, like, yes, we've done some really cool things. We have worked with some really good people. We have had successes. It doesn't mean anything to me, because I don't think I've sustained it as I've looked to what's next. And I always have something to prove, and I never feel like I'm doing a good enough job doing that. So I'm just as discomforted today as I was 10 years ago. And I'm just as uncomfortable today, being comfortable with the amount of money we're making, as I was when we didn't have any money at all. Like, it's just the same pressure cooker that I live with.
So every day the pressure cooker is on that you're doing it. So what is the big vision then? I suppose for both of you, markdrager.com, and you got Phanta. So you got these things running side by side. And I know I listened to the latest episode of your podcast, and you were juggling between two, man. What's going on? So what's more important to you? Is it Phanta, or is it the speaking? Is it the podcasting? Is it the that part of it? Because I know you were
Yeah.
saying every time you like, because you're in the podcast, you're talking about that you were defaulting back to Phanta, like
And
looking after big clients, and
you're
then
referencing the Something to Prove podcast that I do with Evan,
that's
where
right, yeah, yeah.
we did an episode where pretty much it's just therapy hour for Mark, where Evan tries to help me with clarity every week. But
There was a bit of
yes,
shouting going on. That's all.
was there?
There was a little bit.
We record those
Mark,
on a
that's not what
Thursday.
you want.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think I was laughing my way through. That was 2 weeks ago. So because we were always recording on a Thursday that's released the following Friday. So
Yeah.
we've had already one or two conversations since then.
Okay, so what's up? Come on, give us a scoop. I want a scoop. I want the scoop for our listeners. I want us to know what's going on Mark's times, because I know you're struggling between the two. So I suppose a bit like Elon Musk, you're trying to keep both going. I think there's probably like a little bit of conflict going on, a little bit.
So here's my greatest challenges or my greatest fears, and I don't know if this is relevant to anyone or not, but one, I'm not happy with what I have or what I'm doing, because I feel like there's more. I feel like I have so much potential and I could do such big things, and it's exciting and I can't wait to do it. And at the same time, I don't know if I'm too lazy. I don't know if I'm disciplined enough. I don't know if I have it within me, if I will get lucky, if I could replicate past successes. And so I have this tremendous amount of confidence for everything that could be. And at the same time, just this insecurity that I just don't have what it takes to actually make it happen. And so what this does is the push and pull makes me go, should I do it? Is it worth it? Maybe I shouldn't. But then if I don't, I'm giving up. I'm not the type of person to give up. So I have to keep going. But I'm not sure if I believe in it. And I'm not sure even if I make it happen, if I'll be happy when I do make it happen. So maybe I shouldn't do it. And it's that constant cycle with anything. So you can pick apart, Phanta. We can talk about Mark DRAGER. We can talk about content or interviewing or who I am as a father or husband or a man or whatever it is. But this is the cycle that I live with, because there's never a clear direction, and that's fine. I get really excited about things. I am an amazing starter at things. I'm not that great at delivery, which bums me out when I see Instagram people say ideas are cheap, execution is hard. Yeah, maybe I'm not the execution man.
You do quite a bit, to be fair, though. I think something a bit hard and stuff. But again,
I do. But to answer your question, because really what the core is, why do all of these things? Why not just pick something and run with it?
Yeah.
So, early on, I could become a consultant. I could be someone who sits down with anyone and help them, really clarify what the challenge and the problem is, because we do a lot of consulting in our work. What's the problem? What's the challenge? How do we define that? What are the possible actions that we could take to help overcome this challenge? And what are the timelines for doing that? And which one do we believe is the most feasible with the highest amount of results based off of all of these different things we can do? And we could lay out that plan, and I could hand it back to someone. And I could do a really good job at it. But it makes me feel like a liar, because for me to come up with a plan that I believe in that can work and then not help someone execute in that plan, to me, does not feel like enough. It feels like I'm making a promise, like this will help you. And then I give it to them. And then if it doesn't help them, they come back and they said, didn't help me. And I can always go, well, it didn't help you because you didn't do it right. Or you didn't do you know what I mean? I can come up with reasons why it didn't work. And so it is so important to me that I work with people that I believe I can help, that I can actually help them, and that we help take the actions that need to help them. And so this is why I just can't turn my back on Phanta or on service-based businesses or things like that, because it would be very excited, Joe, for me to get you, let's rebrand your podcast. We're going to come up with a ton of different names. It's going to be amazing. Let's get to the core of it and our audience. I'm going to set up for you the differences for how we traffic it to each platform. And we have a very clear goal, and we're going to start a Facebook campaign, and we're going to integrate it, and it's going to be amazing. And I lay this all out on paper, and I write everything up, and I go, there you go, run with it. I just don't know if you're going to run with it. I don't think your problem was that you couldn't come up with the idea. I think your problem is that maybe you don't have the experience or the team or the ability to deliver on it, which means I would get you super excited about an outcome that you have no chance of achieving. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot. And so the big elephant in the room is I don't want to be the one who has to do all the work.
Fair
right?
enough.
And so it's like, listen, I want to be the dude who helps you rebrand Inspiration Nation that blows you up, that makes the biggest things happen, and you are going to pay me and my firm to make this happen for you. Awesome. Let's do all of the work together. I'm going to make you believe that it's possible. And then I need to go, here you go. Here you go, team. Here you go, company. Make it happen. And it's really hard. I make very bold predictions. And so, yeah, that's the thing. If I could just let go of the fact that it bothers me to get you excited about something that you may never achieve, which is like every salesperson on earth doesn't have this moral issue, right? They get you super excited about it, and then off they go.
Yeah.
But I have this weird moral issue with thinking like, if I get you excited about something and then you don't achieve it, then I've let you down somehow, or whatever. And so that's really the crux of why I do all of these things.
Well, I can see you get really excited right there. I mean, that's what fills you up. I can see it. You can see it. It's in your DNA almost. Like, they want to get you starting to blow you up. But then again, but this, you have to hand some sort of accountability to people. They have to. But you like the support, but you want to make that happen for them, which is lovely. And actually, we've connected on Instagram. You give me a few little pointers right here and there. I know we've connected over there. Joe, I want to believe that. I want to feel this. Joe, come on. All right, I do another video. Right, you know, right,
Again,
right.
again.
He kept doing that to me. Come on, Joe. Come. So it's good, but it's good you do push people. You do need to do that. But I want to know what Mark wants, because you said you're not happy doing. What do you want then? Where's the clarity? Like, what is it you really want? What would make you happy? Because I'm not happy. What's going to make you happy? I'm looking at your eyes right now.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because I don't know if I have the answers, right? And I think if you ask that question and anyone answered honestly, I don't think they would have an answer for that question, because you don't know. Or at least when your brain is wired the way my brain is wired, I don't know, because I don't trust that when I pursue the thing that I thought would make me happy, that I would actually be happy. And so, for example, I love going on walks with my wife. They make me really, really happy. And seeing my kids try at something and fail or succeed, sure, but trying something and fail makes me incredibly happy. Spending time on my back patio and working on a sunny day with the birds chirping makes me happy. Like, lots of things make me actually really, really happy, and I could live in the moment, and I could be super, super grateful for it. It's having these kind of conversations, dude, man, they fire me up like crazy, because I love being able to get a sense of what the future could be, and painting a picture for people of what it could be, and encouraging them to see that they can actually make it happen. All of those things make me happy. I don't know. I like the easiest answer is to say, if I spent all day, every day doing the things that I loved, that's true freedom. That's true control. That's true happiness. But I don't know if I would challenge myself enough in that situation. I don't know if I would learn hard truths, because I really, I really do grow the best when I'm getting kind of kicked upside the head and things are pointed out how broken everything really is. And here's the thing: if anyone listens to me for a little bit, they're going to be like, this dude is like, crazy, or things must be a mess or whatever. I'm not a Chicken Little. I'm not running around like the sky is falling all the time. I'm just really honest with people about the dysfunctions that exist within an organization. And I think most people hide it. I think most people are unwilling to talk about how dysfunctional an organization is when you're pivoting, or when you're changing, or when you're doing things. I'm totally willing to be honest about it. But I don't think I can answer your question, because ultimately, doing the things that interest me the most, excite me the most, and challenge me the most are the things I want to be doing more of. The things that I look at and go, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do less of. But that's not a very clear, actionable response.
Yeah, well, I think but we all suffer from that a little bit about being clear, and I think there's a big thing in this. And I think so. I just want to know what is the vision for you? Like, because always we talk about vision on our podcast, and we talk about having a big vision. What's it to be? And for the podcast, we want to go global, and I want to push like Lee and mine to sort of to continue to have like a big vision, to have this thing blow up. But it takes work, it takes hard work, and this is why we've connected. I think because I think you work bloody hard. Excuse my French, but I did it. I shouldn't do that, but I did. But what is the big vision? Could you
Is bloody
clarify?
considered a swear word over in England now or something?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It might be. I don't know. I try not to do it. I don't have
Bollocks! What I say to
Okay.
that.
Ryan, can you please edit the podcast? But a little squeaky voice over that one. But no, it's right, and I think that's the whole thing about passion. I think you're right. But what is the big vision? So same. So what? So say, let's say, I mean, what is the big scary goal for Mark Drager? The big scary vision. What is it? If you're going to paint me a picture of where you want to be, you know, there's no limit. What does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I want to. So it depends on whether I say the goal or the action, right? I want to spend more time writing. I want to spend more time speaking. I want to be able to connect with more people. Those are all the actions, right? The outcome that I'm really looking for is I want to be known. So I want to have a platform. I want to be able to help influence people to see that they can actually make change happen, that they can actually make it happen, that things aren't as scary as they believe. And so I want to be able to help people build things that they're proud of, you know? And so for me, that's business, but it's also, you know, like my wife, for example. Here's a perfect example. She spent the last 2 years pursuing many different things. And so she has this singing and this acting on stage because she really likes the theater and likes being a part of it. And she has personal training and getting really fit. And I think that those kind of align up until the point where on a walk a few weeks ago, she admitted that she really, really wants to act, but it's a scary thing. And I said, well, if that's the case, then you can't do the personal training. She's like, well, no, I can do both. And I was like, no. The personal training is a total distraction, right? Like every hour that you're in the studio helping someone else train is not performing. It's not auditioning. It's not putting in the hours. It's not meeting the people. It's not helping you get towards that. You have to be fit. You have to look good. You have to be confident. All of that stuff is important. But every hour that you're doing this is keeping you from doing that. And so I can recognize in my own life the clarity that I'm able to give towards others. But to take my wife Jacqueline from where she is today to where she wants to be is a hard and scary role, and it's something that entrepreneurs do, and people who build things that they're really proud of that they do. This is what artists do. This is what musicians and comics and actors and people in sports, they imagine something, they figure out what it is that they want, and then they pursue and go after achieving that thing. I want to help more people do that. And so the tool sets that I have are being able to have conversations with people, being able to help take them through complex situations, and then be able to get to the heart of the matter. I'm actually very, very good at that. And then again, painting a picture of what's possible in terms of future path. And so if I'm able to do that through my writing, if I'm able to do that through YouTube, if I'm able to do that through podcasts and interviews and all of those things, and help point the entrepreneurs who want to make change happen to Phanta or to courses or to whatever it might be, that's the ultimate goal. You know, I want to build things that I'm proud of, and being on the agency side, people don't really understand how challenging it is to be like within a marketing agency where you spend all day, every day working on many other companies, trying to care about it as much or more than they even do. And it's, for me, I found it emotionally taxing. You know, I've been doing this for a very long time. And so the thought of having to worry about 14 different client businesses as much as I worry about my own business and build their businesses with as much clarity and like, it's just draining. So really what I want to do is I want to spend the next little bit building Mark Drager and Phanta and focusing on building something that I'm really proud of for my team and for myself, rather than building up things for others that may or may not help them. That I believe will make me happy.
Okay. So how is it happening then? What's going on right now that's making it happen? Like what's, because I know you were saying about you were like going to do some stories. There's going to be some big change at Phanta. I think you were saying there's big changes coming. Is that all happening? What's going on? Because I think you were saying, because I think there was something going on. You were doing some exciting bits.
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
after
listen,
lockdown.
there's tons and tons and tons of changes that have been happening over the last few months and continue to happen, in terms of the way that we're pivoting the business, in terms of team structure, areas of focus, how we handle client management, new team members on. We've had other team members who have left us. So yeah, I mean, I like without us like getting into the like real specifics about what's happening, lots and lots and lots of change, which, as I've mentioned, the last few weeks have been really hard because we've had the opportunity to look at how are all the ways that I'm servicing the business and how are all the ways that I'm actually a disservice to the business, and can you extract me from it, and what would be the pros and cons to that, and if we do extract me from it, what do we need the team to step into the vacuum that's created, and can they do it or can't they do it? And we're doing this all in real time in front of clients. There's no like, hold on, we're going to pause, we're going to shut our door, and then we're going to come back and we'll be like, here we are. This is us like in real time with painful mistake after painful mistake, or lesson learned after lesson learned, or a waste of time with miscommunication or whatever else it might be. So I wouldn't even know where to start listing all the changes that are happening.
Wow. No wonder you got a lot on, because I know, to go onto your YouTube channel, I know you've been posting a little bit. I don't know if you posted one recently, but I haven't seen a little video yet on DRAGER.
Yeah, stuff will come. Joshua's on it. That's on me for not giving him enough content. So,
because I know that was one of the things.
Dude, you don't understand. As an entrepreneur, have you started or run a business before? I know that you're in training, right? You're in corporate training, and so you're always in front of people and presenting and stuff. But have you run your own business?
I'm trying to do both, but not really. No, I'd say I'm trying to do this and that, and it's quite hard. I'm doing it like in my best spare time, like and stuff like that. But no, I've never sat and built it from like you did, like giving up and then start. Actually, tell a lie. I did actually do I did a solicitor's costing where I was like it's true. Yeah, you reminded me on that. Where I actually was doing solicitor's costs as like it's a corporate thing, but I went freelance on my own, subcontracted. That was tough for a year. That was quite tough, but it went really up and down quite a lot. So I've had a bit of experience, but it felt a little bit trapped because there was a bit of a subcontract, and this other company had me really because they were giving me stuff, but I was just like to them. There was known as quite a cottage industry, so I didn't feel I had enough control. Like I wanted more control. I wanted to be out. And I couldn't really get out. So I had to get back.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't say that to disparage you, to say you've never run a company before. I actually say that to say the myth is like the freedom and the control, right? And that's what I want. I did not do a good job of building it, or I didn't build it to start with that way. So the fact that you were subcontracted and you felt like that they were leveraging this contract and just hammering with you stuff. You run into that situation when you're in a service-based business with all kinds of. It
sounds like that struck a chord. That
it has, but I mean, we have amazing clients and challenging clients. And when I started my business, I had a business coach who said, "Listen, Mark, you can't be friends with everyone, right? It's business. You can't be friends with everyone." But the type of work we do has a human capital to it. It has a component to it. Like I have worked with really, really good live trainers, corporate trainers, and I've worked with bad trainers. And the difference between great training and bad training is not the curriculum, right? Like we just know that it's not, right? It's the trainer's ability to be able to connect and adapt to the room and provide a great experience and have the ahas and the breakthroughs and create a place of trust and all of these other things, right? And so it just doesn't come down to the curriculum. And the same thing's true when you're running a business. And it's just, you have your up days, you have your bad days. It all just comes down to the people that you're working with. And so I, at this point, want to spend more time working with people that I like. I want to spend more of my time, if not all of it, doing the things that I'm best at, that I enjoy, because there's lots of things that I'm good at that I don't enjoy doing anymore. And what I'm trying to do is avoid pushing the nuclear button to get it all really quickly, because I am in a position where I could just choose. I literally could just choose to be like, I'm no longer doing this. I'm now doing that. And because I'm a shiny entrepreneur, this is so exciting. I really have to watch myself that I don't just be like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing this over here. Because it's very enticing to just be like, cool, Phanta, we did it. It was awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. We're just gonna keep the the legal corporation going as a shell company. We're out. Off I go. I now am starting this thing. I'm now doing all, but like, I don't know. That seems like a temptation as opposed to the real answer to me.
It's because you care, right? I think it's because you care. Like you care because you care about the consequences of that. Because there's probably a lot of people rely on you, right? You got people relying on you.
I do, and I know the potential that we have, and I've always bought into the potential. Potential is the most exciting thing to me.
Mm.
Honestly, the reason why I start off each day feeling way better than I do at the end of the day, like as my days go on, things become worse and worse and worse. And so I love the idea of a Friday night with the potential for the weekend, but I don't like Sundays. I love a Monday morning typically, and even just morning times in general, because the entire day could unfold in front of you. I just don't like the way things end.
So at the end of the day, you go, oh, I didn't go too well. So is there any, but you must recognize that, I mean, because one of the things I do, and I don't know whether you do it, but I actually write a journal at the end of the day and actually write 3 things on that journal, and actually got it from Tools of Titans, which is a really great book. I don't know if you read that, by Tim Ferriss, but there's a little bit in there. There's a 1-page journal. And in the end, you can write 3 things that went well, you know? Do you do that?
No, I mean, I've tried at different times. I've done morning journals. I've done evening journals. I've done gratitude things. I've tried all those things. Not consistently. I'm really I'm really brilliantly inconsistent. I don't think people realize, people see the company, they see the outside, they see what's going on. Yeah, I think if someone were to follow me around for a day, I would feel very watched and insecure, but I think they'd be surprised at how brilliantly inconsistent I really am.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what goes on day to day. And one day I might turn invisible and follow you around. What is that guy? Is that Joe following me around with that blooming camera?
There you go.
But you are, because I'm going to point out something to you that I think for me you've been very consistent. Now you lost a ton of weight, like literally, like a crazy ton of weight in a pretty short space of time. In my view, pretty short space of time. Yeah. So you say you're inconsistent, but that's consistency right there, surely. So you're saying inconsistent one hand and then consistent one hand. So what is it? So can you not apply?
No, on the macro, I'm consistent.
Yeah.
On the macro, you can look at any period of time and you'll see that I'm moving a direction, that everything is linear, that it all makes sense, that it's all stacking upon one another, that I'm not waffling, that I'm not wishy-washy. Take any period of time and you're going to see Mark DRAGER comes out on top.
But we've got this. Look at you.
It's within the little windows where you're going to be like, how does the dude even function?
So tell me the difference then. I mean, tell me the difference between, because you've obviously, because I know what the trigger was. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was you were looking at a family photo. I think it was, and you were saying you didn't like it, and you said, right, I think you and your beloved said, right, we're going to change, and that seemed to be the trigger. Is that right, or got that wrong? Or
yeah, I mean, I took the kids to Disney. We took the kids to Disney for a week, and we didn't feel good. We knew that we were letting ourselves go. I had to buy new clothes because it's winter up here, and it's hot down there. And so I had to go buy clothes for summertime stuff, and I had to buy different sizes. We just didn't look good in the photos. We just didn't feel good. And so, yeah, I mean, but even within that, so let's break it apart. The story that you see, and this is an important lesson for everyone. The story we judge people by, and I think I posted about this the other day, right? We see the finished work. We see the finished work, and then we judge our work in progress against other people's finished work. So the story that you see and the story that everyone sees is I've lost 50 pounds. Yes, I was getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. What I don't really talk about, though, is when I was 30, I took Tim Ferriss's book, 4 Hour Body. I did it consistently for 6 months with a personal trainer. And at the time I was able to lose, I think 35 pounds. And then my wife and I went off to Ireland and I kind of broke my diet, and then I never kind of got back onto it again. So we hit the point where, you know, it's February of 2018, I think, and we're not feeling great. And I went, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to lose weight. But I had already done that one process before. I just didn't stick with it. And so I kind of already had some ideas and some tools, but this time it felt different. And so I did start working out, and I did lose some weight, but then by June, I kind of slowed down. And then in July and August, I got a little more serious about it. But then by the time I went to Tony Robbins in November, I wasn't really losing weight. I wasn't gaining weight. I just wasn't losing weight. And then after Tony Robbins, I got much more serious about it. And then the following May, Evan challenged me to look at keto because the 4-hour body wasn't really working anymore. And then I joined a much more aggressive gym. So it's just like what I see is inconsistency after inconsistency after inconsistency, or trying and then not trying and then trying and then not trying. What the world sees is that I was able to lose 50 pounds and keep it off, which I have. But even now, like even today, I was thinking, oh, I haven't gone for a run since Saturday. Right? Saturday, I ran for a run. It was 40 degrees outside. Felt great. Felt like a champ. Took a day yesterday. Today, I should be running a 10K. It's raining. Probably not going to do it. And that's okay, because I know that I'm going to maintain my weight. That's the type of inconsistency that bothers me. And I don't know if I'm looking for superhuman levels of consistency or dedication or whatnot, but that's where I feel inconsistent.
See, I really like that, because this is real, right? Because sometimes we feel like it, sometimes we don't, but it's like battling that, hold that. And I know we sort of, we ding a bit of Goggins world, don't we, me and you? We do like a bit of Goggins, don't we?
Yes,
and I tagged you in
I need
something.
to toughen up. I do need to toughen up.
And I said to Mark, I put this there, I said, what do you think of this, Mark? He was and Mr. Goggins talking about the lifting of some sort of part of your body into your body because you're not tough enough. And anyway, you have to go see the post. And Mark just goes, "You just got to be harder. We've got to be tougher. We're too soft." That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell myself that, I can't. Okay, I won't swear, but I take some Goggins, and when I'm running and when I'm almost out of breath, I say, "You stupid fat blank," about myself, just to say, like, "Come on, you can do this. You're stronger than this." And so, yeah, I mean, if I was able to work, whether I was excited or not, if I was able to attack something with a fierce level of worry, fear, competition, aggression, or whatnot, and if I were able to do these things day after day after day, I would make way more progress. These are the things that I want to do. I don't know if they're within me, because what I see is, you know, what I see in myself that the world may not see is, I see the inconsistencies. I see the procrastination. I see how lazy I really am. I see how I hate inefficiencies. So anything that I think is inefficient, I don't want to be a part of. I don't want to do anything unless if I know that it will get me an outcome that I'm looking for, and that's the sustainable outcome. Otherwise, I don't see a point in continuing it. Like all of these beliefs that hurt me, I am becoming more and more aware of, and then now trying to work to say, you know, is this something that is worth my time and effort to challenge and grow and learn from? And will I get results from it? Or is this just who I am and I need to let it go and let it stop bothering me because I'm not going to put in the time or energy to change it?
What's the belief then? What's the number one belief you think's disempowering at the moment? Because that's what you're talking about. You know, you're talking about that. So which one is it? Which one are you working on at the minute?
The thing that I'm trying to do the most is attack time right now, because when I feel safe, I slip into inactivity, and when I feel challenged, I slip into I'm going to do a million things and throw energy at it right now. Like here's a perfect example when it really became evident to me. So you know that I've been working on my backyard for a few years, and I'm doing this huge, massive project on my backyard. My friend the other day said, "Hey, did you think it would take you 4 years?" And I went, "No, I did not think it would take me 4 years to renovate a patio and a backyard and stuff. But when it's done, I like to build things I'm proud of. This thing is going to be amazing. It's
So the pool looks great. The pool looks great. Did you do that? Did you do the pool?
Everything.
That's
everything.
amazing.
I rewired it. I redid the plumbing. I did all the hardscaping. I moved all the dirt. But here's the point where it really hit me. My family's in construction. I mentioned my grandfather's in construction. My family's in construction. when I said I was doing this project, I was talking to my cousin and I said, I'm doing this massive project. I think I'm going to have to buy like a machine, like a skid steer, like we call them bobcats over here, whatever, skid steer. I'm going to have to buy one of these things because I don't see how I'm going to do all this work by wheelbarrow in hand. So, I'm doing calculations and figuring it out and talking to my wife, and I was like, do we really want to spend like $40,000 to buy this used piece of machinery, keep it for a few years, and then we can resell it, so we'll get our money back? My cousin's like, Mark, it's okay. We have this machine sitting here. We don't use it at all. If you need it for a year, the summer, a few months, you can borrow it. Perfect. So I borrow it. But I didn't really think about the fact that it's not going to be done in a year. So the second year comes by. This is now last summer. And he goes, you know what, Mark, you keep it I will call you and tell you. I will call you and tell you when we need it back. We don't need it back right now. So you just keep using it. I was like, whoa, perfect. Thank you. Anyway, like one July day last year, so in May, March, everything's still frozen. You can't do work. In April, it starts to melt, but it's really rainy, and I'm working on our bathroom, and I was like, well, I got all summer. May comes and goes. It's now June, and I'm just starting to get started in the backyard. And then my cousin calls me and he goes, hey, we got some permits shifted around and stuff. I'm gonna have to come pick up that machine in 2 weeks. And suddenly now I'm going, okay, I've been like chilling. I've been taking it easy. Suddenly now I lose this machine in 2 weeks. And immediately it's like action. What do we do? So within like 20 minutes of being off the phone with him, I had material ordered. I had friends lined up to help me for the next 2 weeks. I had an action plan with my wife where I was like, great, okay, we're canceling this. We're doing this. I'm going to and I had it all figured out. And then like a week later, my cousin called me. He's like, you know what, as it turns out, permits didn't go through. So, you know what, you actually just have another few months with it if you want. And I was like, oh, okay. And all of my plans went out the window, right? Because I was like, oh, cool. We got lots of time. It's not burning. It's not. And so I'm sure you've heard me talk to Evan about this recently, but it's like, I don't want to live in the land of fear and negativity all the time because that's my pessimism and anxiety and fear and not being good enough is my resting place. But I do know that in the moment when my cousin called me and said, hey, you're losing that machine. I know in the moment when a client calls me and says, hey, Mark, that project? There was I had one day 3 years ago where I had 3 different projects in the same day, all either disappear or cancel. And we lost $400,000 in revenue in one day. Some of it was sold. Some of it had contracted. Some of it just got postponed. In one day, that all happened. I know in that day that I'm like, I'm not angry. I don't get angry. I go, what are we going to do? Right? Like you're threatening me. What are we going to do? Right? So I had already set up lunches with new clients. It's like, I'm going to replace the business. I'm going to replace the business. I'm going to replace the business. And so that is the attack time. That is the like these things that I know will take me 3 years, wanting them bad enough to put in the 3 years and knowing that it's important and that I have to do the work. And if I don't do the work, it's costing me something. That's what I'm working on right now.
I think there's a really important point because it feels like you have to have almost like the pressure on for you to deliver. And is there a way of generating that feeling without it actually happening in the outside world? Because you clearly got a go time on there, but it's got to be out external. Is there no way of transferring that, using that feeling to
this is
drive?
The same thing I used to lose weight, right? We talked about losing weight, the impetus of it. Yes, I was on vacation and I didn't feel good and I didn't look good. But ultimately, the thing that worked was when I went to Tony Robbins and ultimately I landed on, if I do not get fit, I will not meet my grandkids. Like I will die in my 40s and my kids will grow up and my grandkids will never have a chance to meet me. Like that was the thing where I was like, okay, I put this pressure on myself that I am going to meet my grandkids. And so the other day I came up with a list of negatives. I think it may have been the podcast you were listening to.
It was,
where Evan and I were yelling.
Yeah.
I came up with a list of negatives for every aspect of my life just to help to put that pressure on. And Evan didn't like it, but
I know. I think he went a bit ballistic on that one.
He wasn't a fan of dipping into the negativity all the time.
He said to use it a little bit, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think everybody has their comfort zones, which we all prefer to play in. We all don't like to be told we're wrong or be challenged or learn things the tough, hard way, but that's where we learn things the most. And we all have a dream of something that we want to accomplish and we don't think will happen. And so these things are completely universal. Now, the tools that you use and how you go about it and what's holding you back and how long it takes and whether you give up or not, I think that's all personality, and you can mold that and shift that and change that actually. But you know, I don't know. I'm just rambling now, man.
No, I like it because I think that's right. Because I think, and I really love the thing that really stuck with me, you guys, is and a lot of the stuff that I watch is you've got to enjoy that. You've got to love the stuff. You've got to love it. You've got to love that whole thing of the doing. You know, like I love doing the videos. I love doing this with you. Like this, I love this. This is for me, like gives me energy. I love doing the videos, and I just want to keep doing them. And that's where I think, because because I think before I used to go on and off, and it used to be about, I want this result, but when you didn't get a result, you get deflated and you go, oh, I'm going to give up. There's no point in doing that. But actually, I really love this whole process and stuff like that. And that, I think, focusing more on that than the outcomes. Though we do want outcomes, but I think focusing on the work and actually just doing that work and enjoying and loving that process, I think for me, that works really well. And connecting with people like you, and since all this whole happened over 2 years ago, which we all connected, I think I've just grown a ton, like literally in that space. It's been crazy growth. I'd never been doing this. I'd never sent a message to you to do this. So that for me, like to actually do these sorts of things is like massive. But I just wanted to say to you that negativity thing. I want to bring up someone that you didn't mention about when you said you want that thing if you didn't do it about your grandkids. Who's Brad?
Brad. Yeah,
I know who Brad is. I just want you to explain it. Brad. Do we love Brad? I don't think we do love Brad. I don't know. Brad is.
We don't. Now, I don't have it written in front of me because I have my book somewhere else. But so the meeting my grandkids was the thing that really motivated me the most for the weight loss. Right? Anytime that I was like, oh, this is really hard. This is really challenging. I can't run. Should I do this? After that, once I realized that I'm healthy enough to meet my grandkids, then it became like, can I have more energy? Can I run longer? Can I get fitter? Can I challenge myself to eat certain things? Can I live longer, healthier? Like those are all the things I'm focused on now and are quite interesting. I realized that I've always also had some. So when I looked at the different areas of my life, I've actually had some of these, I want to meet my grandkid things for other areas of my life. And so one of them is in like my marriage. It has always just terrified me, and not terrified from a really fearful place, more like just like, I cannot let this happen. The thought of someone else marrying my wife, raising my kids, living in my home, just is not something that I can let happen. And so I've always kind of held on to that. And so last August, for example, my wife and I, we were coming at the end of the summer and I was going through some stuff and we weren't connecting. Like we really weren't connecting for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And we've been together 20 years. We've been married 15 years now. And it just, we went for a walk and I said, I see red flags waving all over the place. Like if we do not address these issues, if we do not reconnect, if we do not rekindle, nothing will happen now. Nothing will happen in 6 months, but 2 years from now, we're going to be on very different paths and it's going to cost us a lot. That fear of Brad, who I named the dude who's going to come in and he's going to marry my wife and he's going to raise my kids for me terribly, but they're going to love him because it's Brad, and he's going to live in my house and swim in the pool that I just spent the last 4 years building with all of my hard work and my hands and my money. No way in hell, man. No way in hell.
Hell's going to freeze over until that happens. But
and so I could use that to like either be fearful and like let my wife walk all over me and never speak up or never but more than anything, it's just no, I don't want that to happen, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and you just created that fear of losing there, right? Through something that you created. It was not that, we know that's not real, right? But you created that and that's spurred you. So it does prove that you still can create something emotionally to get you going. Though don't dip into negativity too much, as Evan said. Don't do that too much. Though, yeah, are
you an optimist or a pessimist by nature?
I'm optimist. Now,
so it's easy for you all to optimist. Like I think I'm a very, very hopeful person. I'm the first person. This is why it's dangerous if I drink. I'm the first person while drinking to be like, "Hey guys, why don't we?" ... Like,
yeah.
I'm drinking with my brother-in-law and my younger brother, and it's November, and I go, "Hey guys, next week is the last race of the NASCAR season. Why don't we fly to Miami and go see the race?" And they're all like, "Yeah." And then before we know it, like I've already bought tickets and the airline's booked. And then 3 days later, I'm like, why did we decide to do this? This is a terrible idea. So I don't know if that's not optimism. That's just like, hey guys, why don't we try these things? But
Well, go on.
I was gonna say, I just think that I'm actually naturally more of a pessimistic person by nature. So
Look, you have said that on the podcast quite a few times, but
mhm.
I wanted to dig into that a little bit because I don't know how much time you got left because I know how much we're going, but I've just keep thinking of stuff that digs into that, and I think it's crazy because I've really wanted to ask you some of these because I know, and I suffered with depression probably about 15, 20 years ago. So I'm optimist, but I've had a really dark moment. This is where a lot of the stuff. It's why do I do? Because I don't want people going into that place, and
Mhm.
we talked about that. I've talked about it quite a bit, but I want to know about yours because I think yours about 2 years ago. I think you were talking and you were saying you went into depression. I wonder how did that start? Because you've got Phanta, you've got a great business, and this is what happened to me a little bit because people say, oh, you've got a kid, you've got a house, you've got all these things, and you're still depressed. Yeah, I was still depressed, and I just what was the thing for you, Mark Drager, or Mark? I say, Mark Drager. What was it? What caused it? What was the thing?
um, I so this fall, this September, right in about a month and a half, it'll be 3 years. And so it was a bunch of things. So first, it was not realizing that the company I had built and the team that I had and the work that I was doing, I didn't really enjoy, but that I wasn't doing a good job at. That just it didn't feel extraordinary. So that was one. Um, Two, I did have a real collision of. Um, so when I started my business, we started solely focused on video production and communicating through video, and that is a very linear medium. And we had a very well structured process, and we knew what we were talking about, and I could sell with full confidence. Um, when 4.5 years ago, when I started to shift the business and grow the business and change the business, I didn't anticipate how challenging it would be to move from being so specialized in a single medium to many, many more things. I just didn't anticipate the complexity of the different processes. We weren't doing a good job at it. And more than anything, everything that I had come to believe, if you brush your teeth twice a day, you will not get cavities. And then suddenly it's like, oh, everybody has cavities. Or like, if you just connect, like if you really understand your audience and you really understand what they care about, and you create a message that speaks to them and feeds them and connects with those things, it will work. Trust me. And then we do it and it doesn't work. And it's like, what have we been doing? And like, like people came to us to produce work that works. And then we would find out later it didn't work. And this is why this moral issue of like selling something that later, like I could always say, well, you didn't traffic it right and it wasn't right. And we had thought this and we had just like, I could always come up with a list of excuses and we would come out looking shiny. But I knew that we were doing stuff that didn't work. And that bothers me. Like that bothers me so much. Dishonesty, people who don't have a rationale behind the things that they're um, doing stuff that does not have long-term benefits or will help move you in the right direction. Like these things feel immoral to me. And so I found myself doing work that we weren't really good at when I was really good at being good at things, with a structure and a team that I was doing a lot of stuff that I didn't like. And I was constantly being reminded, not only are we not good at this, all that stuff that you believed might not even be true. And you don't even know if everyone else is lying. Hey, hey Joe, what if marketing doesn't actually work? And everyone else who's telling you that it works are all comfortable lying about the fact that it works. Like, what if I'm actually learning that this does not work? It rarely works. And it only works sometimes, and people are only talking about those few, they're cherry picking the stories to make them look good just so they can sell more crap to more people, right? Like that's what I had to work through. And so I just wanted to, I just wanted to not have a cell phone and not be doing any of this stuff anymore. Like, hey, maybe I could start a company where I could just buy a lawnmower and just show up at people's house and cut their grass.
Yeah.
So like it was a collision of all
Yeah.
of those things, like that. And is this my life? And is this all that's in store? And I thought I was going to be extraordinary. And maybe I'm not, and I won't hit my potential, and on all of those things. That's what led to the 2 weeks of depression.
So it's really funny. So I couldn't pick up the phone. Like when I couldn't pick up the phone. I couldn't do it. I just wanted to just like get away, just like you say, have a quiet life and not have anyone bother me. It's the whole quiet zone. Absolutely. So what shifted? What changed? Because you came out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
What happened? What did you do? What was the shift?
well, I mean, the most beneficial thing that I could have done, which was the simplest, was I told people about it, right? Like I knew what was going on, so I could feel like the little pings, like the little pangs, the pings, where it's like, oh, yeah, that's really upsetting me. And I remember driving to Home Depot on a Saturday, and the whole way there feeling um, terribly sad and just indifferent, and then driving home and just pulling into my my driveway and just sitting there and being like, what's the point of all this stuff? And so I told my wife, hey, like, I don't know how to really explain this, but this is kind of what I'm feeling, and I don't know why. And then I told Evan and the people in my mastermind group. And then Evan said, hey, come over tomorrow. Like we stayed up really late. We stayed up till the meeting usually ended at 10 p.m. We stayed up till like 1:30 in the morning or something. And then I went over to his house the next day and we talked some more. And then that night he invited me to Tony Robbins. And ultimately taking action felt better, like made things feel better. But since then, it has been what feels like nothing but conflict, right? Because when you go, hey, like this is not this is not my real life, but let's say this is the easiest way to explain it. Hey, I'm not happy. I want to be happy. And I just realized that you make me unhappy. I can't be married to you anymore. Right? Like, and there's no way that being with you will make me happy. Right? Like that is conflict. Because you're going to live an unhappy life, or you're going to have to address the issue. And hopefully they'll change and all of those things. Now, I didn't have that with my wife. I feared that. I feared that I was going to grow without her, that I was go down a path and it'd be different than hers. But when you're a business owner, I have that relationship with my team. I have that with the processes, with the unspoken agreement. Like everybody signed up, everyone came and was recruited onto my team to go and build something. And they are on a path with me, and I have their trust as a leader or whatever it is. And I have all of my past clients, and I have all of this stuff that I've built up. And so to go point by point over quarters or years, one, I learned something about myself and I go, oh, I should have been doing this all along. Great. Now when I action it, it's conflict. It's conflict with my team, with it's conflict after conflict after conflict. Every time that I learn something new about myself, and every time that I take a step towards trying to fix it, in the big picture, people are like, oh, bravo, this is great. In the day-to-day, it's going like, hey, team member who, we've been working together for years. I don't think the things that you're doing work for us anymore. Right. And it's like, well, why not? Well, because I learned this stuff about my, like, how do you explain those things? And so anytime that you're facing growth, the natural thing that will come from that is conflict. Most people don't want the conflict, even though they want the growth. So they'll run away from it. I've wasted a lot of time trying to put things off, but eventually I have to face up to it anyway. And yeah, I'm just waiting for things to get better, man, honestly.
But that, I think through that, you just got more self-awareness, right? Because you were saying before, it's like you were just going through and you think you were great. You thought, hey, everything's good. And then suddenly this, what's going on?
Yeah.
Suddenly you hit, like, it's literally like a bang, isn't it? It's like, oof, it's like,
yeah.
Whoa.
No. I'm a better person today than I was 3 years ago. I just don't know if I'm happier today than I was 3 years ago.
Okay. So scale of 1 to 10, happiness 3 years ago.
I'm probably happier today, but it's just more uncomfortable.
That's good. Right. Right. I knew I was going to get to the truth. That's what I'm after. That's what it's about. Yeah. So yeah. And it, yeah. And I think it is, isn't it? It's about having that. And, yeah. And I think you've had a really tough time, but that's what I wanted to get into, because it's not all perfect. It's not all great, because it's the challenge, isn't it? It's all those things that you're talking about. And the ping you said about that as well. And also I said about, you know, your relationship, you got your business, your relationship, you got two things going on, you got your wife. And I think you even did a video about where you had disagreement with your wife. I think there was a video I think you did about, was that a point there where there was disagreement, or because you said we don't always agree? What was the cause of that video? Because you were quite, I suppose, you were really sort of telling us some real stuff there in terms of agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about vulnerability, and you know, like my wife doesn't ask me about work, right? We've been married 15 years, been together 20. I started the company in 2006. We got married in 2005, so I guess we were married a year and a half. And so she doesn't really ask what's going on, how are things going. One, she doesn't really care, and I don't really dig into stuff all the time. And so what she was struggling with through COVID is so during COVID, everything that I no longer had to do, I found incredibly freeing. Everything that she no longer had to do, she felt incredibly limiting. And so she was looking forward to doing more and more and more with more people, more things, more challenges. And so when it was taken away, she lost something. I have to deal with lots of crap. And when that was taken away, I was given an incredible sense of freedom. And so what we were talking about at the time was the fact that she felt throughout all of this that I was very, very cheery, that I was very optimistic, that I was very positive, because there were times where I felt really free and happy. And as the reason the last few weeks or months have been hard for me is because as we've gone now back to quote unquote normal, I am losing all of the freedom I had as responsibilities pile up on me. And she is gaining all of the fun and excitement and challenges that she's been desperate for. So she's going up, I'm going down. When we were in COVID, I was up, she was down. The whole point of the video or the conversation though was she accused me of not being vulnerable in front of her. And I was like, how could you think that I'm not vulnerable in front of you? You like we know each other better than anyone else. I answer any question that someone puts in front of me. If I don't answer the question, it's because I'm not going to be honest with you. So I just do not answer the question.
It's good. It's honesty.
But if you ask me a question and I don't want to answer it, I'll be like, I'm not answering that question now.
Good.
But if you do ask it to me, I'm going to give you an honest answer. And she's like, yeah, but you just don't seem vulnerable. And so, one, it was me going like, wow, even my wife and kids think that I'm some kind of Superman or something. I feel vulnerable. I feel vulnerable on camera. I share stuff all the time. I guess they don't see it, or maybe I'm not doing a good job at it. But that was the main thing for the video. And since then I've taken conscious steps to say, hey, this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm going through. I try to be selective because I don't want her to worry about things that she doesn't have to worry about. I don't want to, it's not fair to other people to dump all your worries onto them just because it'll make you feel better. But at the same time, my wife says, Mark, be more vulnerable. So
it's about communication, right? You got to communicate. And I think, I don't, was you talking about love languages? I don't know much about this, but was you the one, was you talking about
love languages? Love languages all the time.
Man. So I don't really know about
languages, some Enneagram and some Myers-Briggs, layer them on top, and I can tell you everything I need to know about you.
See, the love languages, so Myers-Briggs a little bit, because I talked about mine was, I was a protagonist. What are you? Did you know what you came out as on yours? I know you're introvert.
Myers-Briggs?
Yeah. You know the 16 personalities?
Yeah.
It's an overall, doesn't it? Okay.
I'm an INTP. So you're the protagonist?
Yeah. I'm protagonist. What would it come out as you overall? Because it's got the... Are you looking this up right now?
You're an ENFJ. Oh, dude, man.
What's that? What's that thing?
Everybody in my life is a bloody ENFJ. It's crazy. Louis is an ENFJ. My entire team is made up of ENFJs now. which is interesting because I get along with them personally very well. I don't know if I work with them very well. I think they're frustrated.
You must be doing all right. You've got Louis doing your COO at Phanta. You must be doing all right. And I know you said the other day that you said, do you know, Louis, you have these phone calls all day. Do you know what? Are you okay?
So I'm an INTP. I'm the logician.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, there's some things about INTPs which are really interesting. You know, we're great at analysts and abstract thinking. We're imaginative. We're open-minded and enthusiastic. That's a better word for hopeful. We're objective, honest, and straightforward. Here is some of our challenges. We're very, very private and withdrawn. We're completely insensitive. Oftentimes, personalities get so caught up in our own logic that we forget any kind of emotional consideration at all, it says. Apparently, we dismiss subjectivity as irrational. We're absent-minded, we're condescending, we hate rules and guidelines, and we second-guess ourselves constantly. So there you go. Everything you need to know about me is right there.
Wow. And the thing is, though, you know, I know it says about things, but there's a lot of things that I think, you know, it's a guide, isn't it? It doesn't put you in a box. It's a guide. It's to give you more self-awareness, but you do see things in yourself about it. And I know sometimes, I think there was a bit of a video, you said that you blew up at someone and then you regretted it. And I think there's a video, you blew up and you said, you know what, I need to reflect on that. So that's great self-awareness. And I think a lot of leaders, and you're a leader, right? You're leading a multi-million-pound business. And it's great because you're revealing all this stuff about it. We haven't got it all together. The challenges at home. And this is about, right? This is what life's about. And for me, that whole thing about being self-aware, about knowing your personality type, all helps. The love languages, then. I don't know how much time we got, but I don't know how much time you got, Mark. So I've probably taken up your time. You probably need to go away soon. Do you need to go away soon? Don't you?
No, we're good for a little more. We're good
sure?
for a little more. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do a couple more. Love languages, then. So tell me a bit about a love language. Because I think I took away from the podcast, and I did it to my wife the other day about. I don't know if it was a love language, but you said you've got to hold hands. If you're having a dispute, hold hands together and look into each other's eyes.
That's some old advice I was given by a couple. But the 5 Love Languages is a book by Gary Chapman, and it does come. It is originally meant for marriage. It does come from a kind of a Christian kind of background, but. It's a really old book. So it says like I didn't even know it's written in 1992. So this is like a really old book, but it's amazing. And I apply it to business, friendship, or any kind of relationship. And so are you familiar with the 5 love languages? Like,
no, that's what I'm asking you, because this is something I think our audience can learn.
Okay.
Let's have the teacher Mark. Let's teach us some love language. Come on.
Sure. So they're 5 love languages. And the idea is that everybody likes to give and receive love in different ways. And so the 5 love languages are acts of service. So that's doing stuff for people or having people do stuff for you is a way to show or receive love. There's gifts. There's physical touch. So just, the feeling of touching someone or hugging someone. There's quality time. And then there's words of affirmation, saying the right things in the right ways to people. So 5 love languages, right? Acts of service, quality time, physical touch, gifts, and then words of affirmation. So the idea is that everyone has a primary and a secondary. And if you didn't know this, you'd realize that relationships are really hard. And so a perfect example is mine is acts of service. Evan's is acts of service. Louis is acts of service. It tends to be a common one. My wife's does not care about acts of service at all. And so I will get up in the morning on a Saturday morning and I'll do all the dishes, right? I'll do all the dishes and then I'll be like, I'll make her a coffee and I'll set it out and then I'll slowly, quietly take out the dog and she'll wake up and I'll be like, hey, I did the dishes and I made the coffee and I took out the dog. And she's just like, yeah, I do that every day. What do you want? Like a medal? Right? And I'm like, well, but you do it every day and I stepped in and I did it for you. Like, isn't that nice? It does not mean anything to her. Her love languages are gifts and quality time. Quality time is not, like, we can go back to Myers-Briggs, right? Insensitivity and all that stuff, logical. Quality time is not something that's important to me. And so I really have to work. And so we were lucky enough to learn this like before we were married, but I have to really work to have quality time with people. I had a staff member whose love language was quality time. And so I had to make an effort to invite him out for lunch every month so we could spend time together and sit across from each other. And when we'd have him over, they were just happy to hang out. Like, to me, just like hanging out, like sitting, like Christmas afternoon is painful to me when people just want to sit around and talk, right? They must love quality time. It's not my thing. So my wife is gifts, which means she's very good at giving and receiving gifts, and they're super thoughtful and they're crazy, but no one's as good as she is. So she's disappointed with every gift she ever gets. Mine is acts of service. My daughter is physical touch, which is my second one. So she loves to cuddle. She loves to cuddle. She loves to dig in. She loves to snuggle. She's always like, rubbing us and everything, because she just loves to touch someone. And so if you're able to know this in relationships, in friendships, in business, in whatever it is, then you can also kind of say like, hey, like if I want this person to really feel seen and heard and valued, and you happen to understand how they give or receive love, you can pick this up usually just by asking a few questions or watching them. You can then choose to engage with them or communicate with them or show them love through the way that they choose to receive it. And the last thing for this is, it's not about you trying to get the people in your life to love you the way that you want them to. It's to recognize that they are still showing you love, even if it doesn't feel like it. So if my wife goes out of her way to give me a really great gift for Father's Day, one, gifts is not my love language, so it doesn't really mean very much to me. But for me to recognize, this is how Jacqueline is showing me love in her way, even though it means nothing to me, even though it would have been better if she actually just like cooked me a steak and got rid of all the kids and said, here you go, right? Like, I'd love it if she embraced my love language. But what it actually helps me with is for me to recognize her actions as love, even if it doesn't feel that way to me. That's the ultimate power of it.
I love that. There's a lot in there, isn't there? I think there's a lot of commonality with a lot of things we talk about, on our content. I think it crosses over to a lot of that. And I think a lot of the stuff you talk about does that. You can actually see a little bit actually. I think it's good.
I'm telling you, man, the secret, you want to figure me out, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, and then love languages, smash them all together.
You got the DRAGER. We got the DRAGER there. Like,
you got me figured out now.
I love it. Mark, it's been fantastic. But I do want to ask you a final question actually before we go. Mm-hmm. You've run a multi-million-pound business. You still have your own doubts, own fears. You're still doing great stuff, doing great content. You're from what I see, you're successful. You're doing it, but I know you want to get better. If someone was starting a business, what advice would you give them? So if they say I want to start a business in X, whatever it might be, what would be a starting point for them? What would be the plan, do you think? What would you say to them?
I would say get very, very, very specific with your audience that you want to sell to, and then get something in front of them ASAP. So the two traps that people fall into, other than the fact they take forever because they want it to be perfect and they want it to be right and all of that stuff, people are way too generic with audiences. And so I can put my little marketing hat on. The example I use, which is simple, is like, hey, we want to target mothers. Well, let's look at mothers. There's a big difference between a young mother and a mother who's a first-time mother in her 40s. There's a big difference between a stay-at-home mother of 2 or 3 kids and a first-time mother who's 32 and going out on mat leave for a little bit. There's a big difference between a mother with teenage kids. Like, you can take mothers and you can break it down into probably 20 or 30 or 40 different ages, mindsets, worries, fears, cares. Where are they? How will you get in front of them? What message will you give? And so be super specific with who you want to help, and then get them something right away. Like we have even done fake ads driving to other people's websites. Like, you just take out an ad and you drive traffic to someone else's website just to see if there's any interest in the message at all. Right? Like, I'm saying, like, it does not have to be real. So really get specific with your audience, who it is you want to help, and what it is they care about, and then get them something in front of them, because that's when you're going to actually know whether you've piqued their curiosity, whether they've leaned in, whether there's interest, whether there's a little spark of like, there's something there. Or if you're just like, oh, this is what I think is awesome. And they're like, okay, cool. Next. Right? Like, that is what you need to rush. And of course, if you're already running a business, you have to do this constantly, right? Like quarter after quarter, year after year. You know, part of what has enabled my success is that I do change things every year or two. Part of which is driving my team crazy is that I change things every year or two, but we're still here for a reason.
That's brilliant. I love it. And the whole thing is, that's it, isn't it? I think I love that. And I think I always can take a lot from that, because there's going to be people who do this in our audience. So one other question, this is going to be my final question to you. What inspires Mark Drager? Because InspirationNation, right? So what inspires you? What is the thing that gets you going? What's the thing? What's the inspiration?
The most fun that I have is learning and discovering new truths. So for me, part of what marketing is, or part of what this is like, how can we answer new questions? How can we answer really hard questions? What can I learn about myself? What can I learn about how things work or should work or how they should be? And so I listen to a lot of content. I consume a lot of content. I go down all these weird rabbit holes because of curiosity and all kinds of things. But someone told me once, you know what, Mark, it's like this for you, it's like a pursuit of truth. And I know that I'm using truth as like an objective or a subjective thing, sorry, because, you know, we're always learning all of these new things, but I get very, very excited and inspired by learning these new things and grabbing onto bits and pieces of them and working them into how I think, how I look at the world and what I say, very, very quickly. And so, yeah, I find what others are doing to be some of the most inspirational things. Of course, always wrapped around like what could be, right? Like this is something I've learned about myself in the last few months, which is like, I am the king of like, hey, we could do this. Doesn't that sound cool? Let's go.
Brilliant. But I love that. So things that find you, new truths are ones things that inspire Mark Drager. Is that right? New truths about you, what the deeper meaning behind it, how it works.
It can be anything. Yeah, it can be about you know, like I listen to a lot of health theory, right, by Tom Bilyeu, where they're talking about stuff that's way outside of my skill set and stuff that I don't really understand. You know, like as people start to get into like what happens amongst MS patients and how cells break down and all of like, it's interesting to me. Like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't have a bio kind of background, but but to me, there's something really magical and exciting about consuming. Sounds like such a terrible word, but basically like coming across all these interesting and dynamic ideas and being able to say like, which ones can I grab and connect and rewrap them and reposition them. Yeah, I love all of that.
Oh, Tom Bilyeu is amazing. Like Bilyeu, I don't appreciate that, Tom Bilyeu. But the thing about he said about the junk DNA and it's the genes that adapt. You're adaptive, we're adaptive. I think that for me was just like like what we can learn things, we can be better, and I think that's it. And I think this is what speaks to you. I can see how you've adapted and grown. It's like with everything you've done, man.
I honestly
really?
have. You know,
Really?
it used to drive me crazy when people would say, "Hey, Mark, I'm just like you." You know, like I'm just like you. You know, like I think like you, I talk like you. I'm just like that. Used to drive me crazy because I want to be extraordinary, so I want to be different and all these things. But that aside, the more I listen to Tom Bilyeu, the more I believe we are cut from the same cloth. And the fact that he is on the other side of many things that I would like to get to the other side of, I do look up to him, and yeah,
he's great. Oh, one other question. Can I get a scoop on the new podcast?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, yes. So I have recorded a few episodes. The name of it is still in flux because I feel like it's that the name of something is very important. And so I spend a lot of time considering names because I want someone to hear the name. So I want it to stand out. I need to be in a white space on iTunes that we could have, but I want it to be intuitive so people can hear it and go like, oh, it's probably a podcast like this, but also be positive and uplifting and also not be too limiting. So in a year or two, if I want to change it, I have room to change it. So So I'm caught up on the name, but I've already been interviewing people. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, we'll look forward to it.
yeah,
Yeah. So let us know.
yeah.
Let
So
us
you'll
know.
even hear some of the early episodes. Like I might just call it like, the working name I had is the We Do Hard Things podcast. But I am moving away from that. So ultimately, like I am incredibly inspired and interested by people who have faced really tough challenges. Part of the attack time, part of the toughening up, part of the doing things whether I want to or not, and whether they feel good or not. I think I want to say it's an irredisputable, whatever. You cannot dispute the fact that literally, if you know who you are and where you are, and you know who you want to become, if you are willing to do the steps to go from where you are to where you want to be, it will happen. Most people don't want to do the steps, but if you are willing to do the steps and willing to do what it takes to become that person, you can become that person. So I believe that. I want to talk to the people who have done those steps, because I secretly worry that I will not do the steps. I don't think most people will do the steps, right? Everybody wants six-pack abs, but no one wants to diet and do the working out. Every single person can have six-pack abs if they do the diet and they work out. They want the abs. They won't do it. I want the abs. I haven't done it yet, right? I want to lose another 8 pounds. I want to get to 10% body fat. I know I can do it. I know what steps I have to take to do it. I just don't want it bad enough. I want to talk to people who wanted it bad enough that they went through all of that stuff, just so I somehow hope that I can grab a little bit of that magic. So that way I too can want it bad enough. Because ultimately, you asked like all of my dreams and all of that stuff, but I think my villain is that I just don't want any of this stuff bad enough to do the work that it takes.
So you're hoping through the podcast you can absorb that, like you said, absorb a little bit of that to get it in. Is that what it is?
Absorb it, learn it, help others. Like the ability to be able to have really good conversations like these with people who can help teach me and the audience how to just be harder or tougher or want something bad enough.
Well, you know who you need to get on that podcast, don't you? You know who we need to get
Goggins?
on that podcast. Exactly. Goggins has to go on that podcast.
Yeah.
He's got to be one of the person you've got to get on that podcast. That's it. You've got to get him on there, but that's it.
I'll add him to my top 100 list.
Yeah, you've got to get that dream list. It's got to be the dream list. You've got to get it up there, tell you, because he would be for me, get him on the podcast. That would be amazing. That would just be, Anyway, we could talk about Goggins all day, because I think that's definitely something we can connect over. Mark, I've really enjoyed the conversation. I really have. It's been fantastic. I really do. And I just want to let our audience know. I know where I find you. I find you all the time, and I send you messages and stuff like that. But tell the audience where can they find Mark DRAGER?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to find me is really on Instagram. You can DM me. You can follow me. So it's just mark.drager. You can also watch the longer form content on YouTube, and that's where all of the long form podcast interviews and the full stuff is all on YouTube. You can find me at Mark DRAGER as well. And I mean, that's the easiest place. If you want to listen to Something to Prove podcast, we totally appreciate it. If you want to drop me an email, you go to my website, my email's there. You go to phanta.com, our agency, my contact's there. I think my cell phone's there. Like I had someone the other day just call me up. So
I think it is actually. I think I have seen it on the site.
I'm very, very, very accessible. So
there you go.
If you want to reach out to me, I'm the desperate person who will talk to anyone.
He's not. He's great. It's Mark DRAGER. I've loved this, and thank you for being so honest, because I think there's been a ton of value in this episode. So thanks very much, Mark. I appreciate you. I really do. So thank you, Mark. And we take care of yourself. We still have to connect. Man. We still have to connect.
Thank you. We
do have to connect. So how are you? Right there? Is that all right? You okay with that? It's all right for me to put this up on YouTube and whatever?
100%. 100%. Let me know when it goes up and we'll rip it down and package some of it too.
Brilliant. I love that. Man, it's been great speaking to you. What's the rest of your day look like before I let you go?
Evan is calling me right now.
Oh, wow. Evan Carmichael. Okay. Well, I'll let you get on the call. And,
okay.
All right, Mark. I'll let you get on the call. You take care of yourself. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. See you later, man.
Okay. Bye.
See you later. Bye. There you go. It's Mark DRAGER. And you know where to find him. So I hope you got a lot of value from that episode. So it's Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys later.